Well, now at noon, the investigation into a deadly mass shooting at a Conway park continues this afternoon. Thanks for watching. I'm Jurnee Taylor. It happened last night at 5th Avenue Park. We're told that a crowd of people were there for a party. Here's video from the scene moments after someone fired a gun.
Somebody got shot. Go. We gotta go.
Well, police spent the night at the scene gathering evidence and talking to witnesses. THV11's Rebecca Brown was at the park late last night covering this story for us. She's back in Conway this afternoon. And Rebecca, what have you learned since we first broke this news just last night when you were there a little more than 12 hours ago?
Hey, Jurnee, no new information at this time. Still, according to Conway police, we have 9 people injured that are at local hospitals at the moment, and we have 2 people dead. Now, just for me being here 12 hours ago, we have a completely different scene. The park is back open, and city workers are out here still cleaning up the trash from the party as well, and pressure washing some of the sidewalk. Now, I did get a chance to go door to door because if you've seen this park before, it's just a neighborhood right next to the park. So I did have a chance to go door to door to speak to some of the locals here, and they have told me several times that it was a block party that was fun, full of a lot of people, hundreds of people out there, and it turned into complete chaos and heartbreak. One woman told me she was holding her daughter in her arms behind a vehicle that another person backed up in front of her driveway to take cover and take shelter from the gunfire. Now, people in this community are just really shaken up about the events that happened 12 hours ago. A lot of tragic stories of fear, hiding, and a lot of saying this never happens and it doesn't happen, as this is a nice park. A lady told me she just had her daughter's first birthday here not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. So we are still learning new information at this time. So when we do, we will bring more details to everyone and keep everyone updated online. Reporting live in Conway, Rebecca Brown, THV11 News.
All right, Rebecca, thank you. Well, when a news conference is scheduled, it will be available to watch live on THV11 Plus and on THV11.com.
Well, if you enjoyed how warm it got yesterday, unfortunately, we're not looking to get that warm today. Still a pretty nice afternoon, but we have a cold front moving through the state that by this evening could offer a stray shower or two across portions of the state. But that front about halfway through the state at the lunch hour, we are seeing a mix of clouds and sun. Those clouds indicated by the darker gray hue a little bit closer to the surface. So more of those low level clouds out there. Temperatures at the lunch hour, middle to upper 70, 75 right now in the capital city. Our friends to our south and east, 78 right now in Pine Bluff, 79 in Camden. To our north that have already felt the effects of that cold front, 70 even in Harrison and 72 in Mountain Home. Again, as that front moves through the state, we will see an increase in cloud cover. A stray shower can't be ruled out, but most of us are staying dry today. More details on the week ahead and the active pattern shaping up for your Easter weekend are coming up in that 7-day outlook.
All right, Simone, thank you. Well, Arkansas lawmakers are back at the Capitol today working to wrap up the 2025 legislative session. While they're set to end things on Wednesday, there are still several bills up in the air. Today, the House is set to review a bill that would fully eliminate the state's grocery tax, removing the final 1/8 cent of food sales. Another key item we've been covering is a bill to block pharmacy benefit managers from owning pharmacies. It only needs the governor's signature now to become law. It could lead to store closures across the state. And the push to fund a new state prison has stalled. Senator Jonathan Dismay's $750 million appropriation bill failed 5 times in the Senate. Dismay says they'll table the issue until next year's fiscal session, but the Department of Corrections will start working on the site using $75 million already approved. Well, tax day is tomorrow, and we have an update for anyone who hasn't filed yet. Storm-impacted Arkansans are getting extra time to file state taxes. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed an executive order extending the deadline for recent storm victims. Now, the new deadline to file taxes is July 31st. 62 counties are included, covering most of our viewing area. The state is also waiving some minor fees. For details on that and to check if your county is included, just go to our website. That's THV11.com. Well, nationally, the Trump administration is facing confusion over tariffs on high-tech electronics this week. The White House is now being hit with questions about items like iPhones and tablets. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
President Trump is meeting with El Salvador's president at the White House to discuss immigration.
We appreciate working with you because you want to stop crime, and so do we.
It comes as the president's trade policy continues to unfold, with new questions about the tariff on some popular electronics from China, like iPhones. Administration officials say those goods are excluded from the 125% import tariff, but still subject to an earlier 20% tariff related to fentanyl. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says those tech items will also be considered for separate national security-related tariffs, with the goal of boosting manufacturing of semiconductors in the U.S.
It's shifting from one bucket of tariffs to a different bucket of potential tariffs.
You know, you have to show a little flexibility, but we go back to what we have to do. The markets have been very strong once they got used to it.
Small businesses in the U.S. are pleading for flexibility as they face the full 145% tariff on imports from China.
Small businesses like mine are marginalized and left to bear the burden of this and to see our families suffer.
Ralph Bradley is the owner of a Texas-based company that imports lighting equipment for items including trailers, RVs, and farm equipment. His father started a joint venture in the early 90s with a family-owned company in China that makes the products.
We have a great relationship with them and are scared about not just our business being in detriment, but what happens to their business and their families.
Trump administration officials say negotiations with China will happen between Presidents Trump and Xi, but so far talks have not been scheduled. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Meanwhile, authorities arrested a suspect in the arson of the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. 38-year-old Cody Balmer is charged with setting fire to the mansion, severely damaging parts of the building and forcing Governor Josh Shapiro and his family to evacuate early Sunday morning. Authorities say Balmer jumped a fence before breaking into the mansion and setting the building on fire. And New York Helicopter Tours, the company at the center of last week's deadly chopper crash in the Hudson River, is shutting down. That's according to the Federal Aviation Administration. Right now, the FAA and National Transportation Safety Board are investigating what caused the sightseeing aircraft to fall from the sky, killing a family of 5 passengers from Spain and the aircraft's pilot. Now, anxiety over air travel is elevated for many people following several recent high-profile incidents. But as Michael George explains, the data show it's still safe to fly.
Airline travelers are going about their business, but what seems like a string of recent safety incidents has some people more concerned about taking flight.
I feel like it just creates anxiety, basically.
The CBS News Confirmed team shared a recent Storyful analysis showing conversations about aviation incidents were up 243% on X and 71% on Reddit in the U.S. compared to early 2024. And conversations about flight anxiety jumped 72% and 22% respectively.
Usually when one thing catches on, it's just kind of a tumbleweed at that point.
In reality, safety incidents are rare. Last year, there were about 1,500 accidents reported among more than 7.4 million domestic flights. That's less than 0.02%.
We can go 2 million flights before we would expect a serious injury to occur.
Retired pilot and aviation expert Kit Darby says the digital age is making mishaps top of mind.
We have color video almost instantly of any problem that occurs. And that makes it so much more real. It makes it more exciting, and it makes it seem more prevalent. And when actually it's not. Statistically, our accident rate has been going down steadily since the 70s.
Experts say one way to deal with any emotional feelings about flying is to counter them with facts, namely that flying remains extremely safe. Some simple things you can do on board: wear your seatbelt all the time, pay attention to announcements and crew instructions, and leave your carry-ons in an emergency.
I have 2 things that I do. I glance in at the cockpit when I walk in, and I always pay attention when they tell us just because it's rude to just not pay attention.
One more precaution: always know where the nearest exits are. It might not be the door where you entered. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
or more facts to calm those fears. The FAA says there are around 45,000 flights in the U.S. daily and an average of 2 accidents per day. Now, those aren't all passenger planes, and even an equipment issue that grounds a plane is included in this tally.
Well, your location in the state is going to determine how warm you're able to get as a cold front moves through. We'll talk more about the impacts of this front and the rest of the week right after the break.
Plus, it was a history-making moment for space travel. A look back at the mission that made one CBS News anchor an astronaut. That's when THP 11 News at noon returns.